Hi, I'm Vasudha, the author of The Vegetarian Reset, and I'm so excited to cook with you all today from my kitchen in New York City. I've been a lifelong vegetarian and a passionate home cook, and I believe that we shouldn't have to choose between eating healthy and eating delicious, and that's why I wrote this book. My cookbook has 75 recipes from around the world that put vegetables center stage. It feels like you're taking a little trip around the world and tasting all of these flavors from traditional cuisines from east to west, but it's healthy. So the book is divided into 9 main chapters: breads, rice, pasta, salads, soups. Think of it like a restaurant's menu, except the contents inside are nothing like a restaurant's menu. So we start with the bread section, and the first recipe is my zucchini bread. It's a savory sandwich loaf made with chickpea and almond flour, and of course, zucchini. It is so versatile that I use it all over the book in other recipes, and there's even a vegan version too. These are my chickpea flour crepes, and they make a great base recipe for wraps. Here you see the zucchini bread being used for avocado toast, and this is an Indian recipe, pav bhaji, where I use a zucchini bread again. These chickpea crepes are used to make these gorgeous roasted red pepper and spinach quesadillas. And here we have an Ethiopian family style meal, and then my favorite, dosas with chutney. This here is my fusion take on sokka, which is a chickpea flour flatbread, and I think it's a really unique recipe because we use a smoked eggplant sauce that is so good. Every recipe has nutritional information provided in the form of this chart, and I think it's a really great representation of the protein, carbs, fiber, and fat that the distribution of those macros in each recipe. And I've also included a veganized note that you can use if you want to make the recipe vegan. And over 80% of the recipes in this book can be easily made vegan they're either vegan or they can be easily made vegan with a simple substitution, like just use oil instead of butter. Now on to rice. I think this section will be a revelation to many of you. I use cauliflower rice in place of rice, and you'll see just how easy it is to cook with it and flavor it in so many different ways. The first 2 recipes are North Indian recipes. They're super comforting, flavorful, and delicious, and they use this cauliflower jeera rice, which is something that I make all the time now. It will leave your kitchen smelling amazing. Then we continue to travel around the world with a Mediterranean recipe, a Spanish recipe, a Korean recipe, an Italian recipe. Did you ever think you could cook so many different things with cauliflower rice? Honestly, it's actually faster and easier than using white rice. This burrito jar is really fun if you want to take it into work. And this ven pongal is one of my favorites growing up, and even my parents have approved of this recipe. Okay, now for the pasta section. Here we use spiralized vegetables for the most part, but you could also use lentil pasta if you'd like. This one, the sag lasagna, is a stunning dish that uses a spinach sauce instead of marinara, and I hope you're drooling right now because I am. This is what I mean when I say it's not about the pasta anymore, it's about the flavor. This is a fabulous vegan version of dandan noodles. And if you're a fan of spicy dishes, this is the one for you. The avocado pasta is a creamy Mexican-inspired sauce that requires no cooking and is just fabulous. My chutney ramen is so good, and you can use any spicy sauce of your choice to flavor it. Here's a pad thai. And oh, here's a gnocchi that is high protein because it's made with paneer. I really love this one, and it was one of those experiments that turned out perfectly the first time, so don't be afraid to try it. Here's a cacio e pepe. That's super good. A vegan bolognese. Look at that picture. Doesn't this book have the most amazing and beautiful and breathtaking photographs? And this one is a feta pasta, the same one that went viral about a year ago on TikTok, I think. Ooh, and this one, just look at it. Are you drooling? It's an Indian-inspired take on mac and cheese. Moving on to salads. Call me biased, but I don't think you'll find such a fun and sumptuous take on salads anywhere else. This cucumber papi chaat is so fun. I am daring to call it a salad here. This is a fantastic falafel recipe that you can make in the air fryer or the oven. And the trick here is to mix in the oil with the batter so the falafel is moist yet crisp. Here we have a caprese, a Waldorf salad, this pretty Greek salad which is on the cover, and shundal, which is my personal favorite. It's a South Indian stir fry that you can make with any legume. A white bean and fennel salad, an Indonesian inspired gado-gado. Ooh, and a tandoori paneer salad. This one is so good, you guys. I told you this is a unique salad section. And we end with a Russian inspired salad. Here's exactly what you need right now, a hearty and satisfying soup. This cauliflower soup is called a loaded cauliflower soup because I load it with protein and healthy fat from the lentils and nuts. And this one here is a yummy roasted red pepper and tomato soup. And we use my zucchini bread that I showed you to make croutons in this recipe. It's so easy and they're so crunchy and so good. And these are all super easy dump and go soups. Oh, this one is a shepherd's pie. It's a hearty vegetarian version where I use lentils for the filling and an amazing cauliflower mash. So the spicy Cuban black bean soup, a curried asparagus soup. These are all so good, you guys. Ooh, a yummy French onion soup where again I use my zucchini bread and melt some cheese all over it. Those caramelized onions are just so craveable. This is a dasi, which is a Persian-inspired soup. And this here is my mom's recipe, which is so good. It's a spiced yogurt stew, and I use Greek yogurt instead of regular yogurt to make it higher in protein. This is such a fantastic way to get that cabbage in. If you eat eggs, you will love my okonomiyaki, which is just a brilliant vegetarian version, if I may say so myself. Isn't it just spectacular? I love this photo. This one here is the andakati roll, where we use an omelette wrap and we use a cauliflower shawarma filling that is so flavorful and some raita to add moisture. You got to try this one, guys. It's a fabulous dish. And we have a rainbow of shakshukas, and I'm reusing or upcycling soups here from my soup section and repurposing them for shakshuka. Isn't that so pretty? Huevos rancheros. This is a really yummy dish too. These are some of the most flavorful ways to eat eggs, trust me. The small plate section has some amazing snacks and party-ready bites like the masala egg bites. So good, so easy. A mezze platter, empanadas, stuffed or overstuffed mini peppers, arancini. Oh my God, I love this recipe. I think it's honestly one of my most creative recipes because I use a riced cauliflower risotto to make the arancini, and they are coated with breadcrumbs also made from my zucchini bread. They are so good. My testers love this recipe. This one is the masala vada. It's a fantastic South Indian spiced lentil fritter that you can make in the air fryer or oven. This one here is my mother-in-law's recipe. It is so good. Summer rolls, zucchini chips, patatas bravas, but we make them with celery root, French fries, but we make them with jicama. And now it's time for smoothies. So this is the savory smoothie section that I told you about at the beginning. And we start traveling around the world with this beautiful turmeric almond lassi. Move on to Spain for these gazpacho smoothies. And then this avocado lime smoothie is a spicy smoothie inspired by spicy margaritas. And we finish with a masala chas that is so refreshing. I know you were just waiting for me to get to this section. Well, it's going to be worth the wait. These hazelnut brownies are inspired by Nutella. They're sweetened naturally with dates and totally hit that spot. This one here is my personal favorite. It's a stunning Indian-inspired fudge that is a beautiful purple color because it's sweetened with strawberries and blueberries. If you've ever had the cashew burfi, this is my take on that dessert. Banana souffles. Here I converted this old microwave mug cake recipe to a souffle recipe because we whip up some egg whites and make this souffle so light yet so satisfying. Oh, look at these sandwich cookies. They're so fun. They're my take on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you learn how to make a grape jelly at home. It's so simple. Or you could make strawberry jelly and then you just slather it on 2 easy almond flour cookies along with peanut butter or almond butter, and you got yourself a fantastic high protein snack. The mango cheesecake jars. Now this recipe is last but definitely not the least. It took so many iterations for me to develop this recipe, but now even my 3-year-old is obsessed with it. Well, there you have it. So today we're going to be making 2 recipes from my cookbook. The zucchini bread and the pav bhaji, which uses a zucchini bread. So you'll see what I mean. We're going to be using all of this gorgeous produce from Melissa's Produce. So thank you to Robert and Melissa's Produce for sending me these. We're going to make really good use of them. So let me start by telling you a little bit about each recipe. First, the zucchini bread. This is the first recipe in my cookbook, and it is possibly one of my most favorite recipes because it is just so versatile. Now, most zucchini breads are sweet, right? If you've ever made one before, it's probably a sweet recipe, but this one is a savory sandwich loaf and it's delicious. It is so versatile. You can use it for sandwiches, you can use it for avocado toast. I even use it to make croutons and breadcrumbs. And as you'll see, we'll be using it to serve up my pav bhaji as well. It's made with chickpea flour and almond flour, so it is gluten-free as well. You can use eggs or you can use a vegan option, which is aquafaba, or you could use flax eggs just as well. And they are both delicious. It is kind of a dense loaf, so you'll find you just can't eat as much of it as you can eat of regular bread, but it is so good. And it has this gorgeous moist texture from the zucchini, which I had to experiment with this loaf dozens of times before I got it right. And it was worth the effort because every time it just gets rave reviews. So I'm excited for you to see this one. And the next recipe that we're going to make is the pav bhaji. Pav bhaji is an Indian street food. I think it originated in the streets of Mumbai, And pav means bread. So we use the zucchini bread instead of it's usually served with a soft roll. And the bhaji is a mashed vegetable mixture. It's made with potatoes and cauliflower and peas and peppers and other vegetables. And it's cooked into a spicy mash, and it's served along with the bread. And usually it's served with dollops of butter, and it is so good. Now, we make one little change to the bhaji in my recipe. We substitute the potato for lentils to make it lower in carbs and higher in protein and fiber. So, no potatoes in this one, but it is still just as delicious, and I promise you, you won't miss the potato. So, are you ready to get started? I am. Let's go. Ready? So we start by grating some zucchini on the smaller holes of the box grater. We use the whole zucchini in this recipe. It's usually an average size zucchini is about 200 grams. I like to weigh everything, as you'll see in my cookbook. So I already grated it about 15 minutes ago and sprinkled a pinch of salt on it to help draw out the moisture. We want to do this before we actually put it in the batter, because otherwise the batter will get too watery if it releases during baking. And now I'm going to use a nut milk bag. You could also just use any thin cloth or paper towels if you don't have one. And I'm going to squeeze out all of this zucchini water into a cup. And it's easier if you just use a measuring cup so you can see how much water you've squeezed out. The nice part about it is that we are going to use all of this water and add it back to the batter, so we don't waste anything here. Go. So now I'm just gonna squeeze, and you can already see this green water. We want to squeeze out as much water as possible from the zucchini before baking. All right, there you go. So I got a little less than half a cup of zucchini water here. Now it's time to mix all of the ingredients. So we don't use any all-purpose flour in this recipe. We use blanched almond flour, and we use chickpea flour, both of which have a lot more protein and fiber, and almond flour brings all that healthy fat too. It's about 1 cup of each. You can see the exact measurements. It's always best to weigh things if you're baking. And then we add the flax seeds and baking powder and salt, and just give it a quick mix. This spoon is a little wet, so I'm just going to grab a different one. You want to mix all of your dry ingredients together first, and then you add the wet ingredients. So here I'm going to add 2 eggs that I gently beat up a little while ago. And then we add our zucchini. So it's in this big lump right here. I'm just gonna spread it as I add it to the batter. Now we're going to add about 1/4 cup of zucchini water, so not the whole thing to start. We want to see how the batter is doing. This batter is not a pourable batter. It's going to be a thick mixture that's about the texture of wet sand. So I like to be careful and add water gradually. I think it could use a tad more, so I'm just going to add a little bit more here. There, this is just right. This texture. And now our batter is ready. So we transfer it to our baking pan. I've already greased this one. You can also use parchment paper if you would like. I like to shake it out a little bit to spread it out in the pan. And now we just put it in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I forgot to mention, if you want to make this vegan, you can. You can use aquafaba, which is what I use in the book, or you could use flax eggs as well. And several of my testers have tried that, and that works just as well. So there you go. You have the batter ready. We're going to put this in the oven now and then check back in later. Now, as our bread bakes, let's make the bhaji for the next recipe. So we will start by caramelizing some onions in butter, and I have all of the ingredients prepped here. You could also use oil instead of butter to make this recipe vegan. You want to be over medium-high heat to melt the butter and add your onions. You'll start to smell this really amazing aroma of the caramelized onions pretty soon. It takes about 5-ish minutes to get them lightly brown. Okay, these are looking pretty good, so I'm going to add the tomatoes now. We also add all of the spices and the salt that I put in this little dish here. We're adding ground coriander, cumin, paprika, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. This is tomato paste to give it that concentrated tomato flavor and umami. And now you want to cook this mixture down until the tomatoes start oozing, they completely break down. You might need to add a splash of water to deglaze the pan, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to add a teeny bit. Here's a closer look. Yeah, this is looking pretty good right now. Okay, so now let's add the cauliflower. We'll just add in all of the remaining ingredients, the bell pepper, the green peas, and the moong dal that I had soaked for about 30 minutes and rinsed. If you're making this in a pressure cooker, you don't need to pre-soak the moong dal. It will cook in about 20 minutes without soaking. Add the water. You want to add just enough water to cover the vegetables because we like the bhaji to be a little thick and like a spreadable consistency. So just cover it and then add a little more if you feel like the lentils haven't cooked when you check in again in a few minutes. This is looking good. So we let it come to a boil and then cover it and let it cook for 20 to 30 minutes. You can check in between to see if the lentils have cooked or if you need to add more water. Nice boil now, so let's cover it. And I'm just going to reduce the heat a tad. All right, let's check how this is going. This looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to turn off my stove. So I'm going to grind this down with an immersion blender, and we want to leave it a little bit chunky just to have some texture in that bhaji. So just a few pulses. There, that looks good. Now we'll just add in some lemon juice and that's ready to serve. My kitchen smells delicious. And now let's go check on that bread. Well, the bread is out of the oven and it's this beautiful loaf that I'm going to slice and toast with a little bit of butter. Okay, so now for my favorite part, time to serve and eat. I toasted the bread. We're going to add some bhaji on the plate. So I like to serve this dish like a sloppy Joe, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Here's my beautiful zucchini bread. There you go. And now we add some onions, some cilantro, and little squeeze of lemon. There you go. So you get the whole dish in one delicious mouthful: the zucchini bread, the bhaji, and the garnish. Thank you so much for following along, and I hope you enjoyed this demo. These are two of my favorite dishes from the book, and I hope you enjoy them when you try them yourself at home. My cookbook is now out, The Vegetarian Reset. You can find it wherever books are sold: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your favorite indie bookstore. You can find me on social media using the handle VHWell. That's V like vegetarian, 8, the number, WELL. I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and TikTok. You can also follow along with me by signing up for my newsletter on Substack at vhwell.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the recipes in my cookbook and find a favorite for yourself and your family.